What is going on, guys? It's Triple G here, back with another Borderlands 3 video, and today we're going to be going through Amara's new 4th skill tree, as well as the build that we've made around it. This is Snowball Amara. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel, or join us over on Twitch. We stream 5 times a week. Otherwise, let's get straight into this video. So first of all, let's start off with the skill tree itself. So phase flare, guys, I am going to pick the skills that we are using for this build. If you want a full detailed breakdown, that is also available on my channel, but let's get straight into this one. So we're going to be using phase flare and a variation of phase flare, but essentially we are going to be projecting a orb as such that effectively will travel from enemy to enemy based on who we are shooting, which will be used by this augment here. So we are going to be taking this augment as our action skill, which is light fantastic, and essentially we will keep pushing the orb to the next enemy. Every time we kill an enemy and it moves to the next one, it gets stronger, creating this snowball effect of more damage and more damage and more damage until it reaches its duration. This damage absolutely goes insane, so it is really strong, and for mobbing as well, particularly with the way that we're going to set this up. We're going to pull everybody in, do all that damage, and then be absolutely fine with sustainability. So first of all, we're going to get into the skill tree. So first up is no mistakes in nature. Whenever Amara inflicts a status effect on an enemy, she gains increased melee damage for a short time, which is 12 seconds and 65%. And we're going to be doing status effects all the time because we are Amara, so it's a pretty good skill. Next up, we'll have 5 points into heavy rain. Amara's weapons gain an increased projectile speed and splash damage. Splash damage being 35%, which will work well into the white elephant when we go into the gear. Then we have Unweave the Rainbow. Amara deals bonus damage of her attuned element whenever she deals melee damage or splash damage to frozen enemies. So there are some variations on shield here that we could use as well. I am going to experiment with a frozen heart here to give us an increased chance to freeze enemies for that extra bit of damage. Then go with the flow. Whenever Amara freezes an enemy, she gains increased movement speed and weapon damage. So yes, it's going to be all about cryo. Now we have a cryo augment here for cold hearted, which we will use a majority of the time. But depending on whoever you're fighting, if you're fighting Wotan, you might need to switch that to corrosive. Then we have Combo Breaker. Killing an enemy with melee damage has a chance to reset Amara's action skill cooldown. This happens quite a lot actually, particularly when we're running Face Puncher 300 over 90, so it's really nice to have. We're going to put 4 points in Joyful Freedom, where activating her action skill, Amara gains increased melee damage for the short time. So as you can see here, this is a melee focus tree, and it really does work really well with freezing enemies. So we're going to put 4 points in here to give us 56% damage for 12 seconds. Then we're going to put a point in Free the Soul, which is a kill skill. Whenever Amara kills a frozen enemy, splinters will fly out from that enemy and home into nearby enemies, dealing cryo damage. And this skill has a short cooldown. Then we're going to put 3 points into Atman, which is going to give us action skill damage, which effectively our orb is going to need, because our orb is going to do damage over time to anybody who's near it, and it's going to give us 27%. And then we are going to use Clear the Mind. After killing an enemy, Amara ignores elemental damage resistance for a short time. So this doesn't affect immunity. So for example, we're killing an enemy. The second we have activated this kill skills, we're then able to actually just shoot whatever gun we want, and it doesn't matter what armor bar, what health bar, what shock bar. We're going to completely ignore that resistance for 8 seconds, and it's actually really powerful. So as I said before, we're going to be picking up this light fantastic, which will snowball affect the orb. Then we're going to put 5 points into Do Harm in the blue tree. These are the only 5 points we're going to get for that action skill damage and stacks. Then we're going to go over to the orange tree, so no surprises here. So we are actually getting 1 point from our Phase Zerker for Anima, but 3 points into Steady Hands for accuracy and handling, 5 into Infusion, 2 into Wildfire for that spread chance, and 5 into Tempest. Then 1 point into Dread, 3 into Indiscriminate, obviously. Then 1 point into Deep Well, and 1 point into Sustainment. We will only need 1 point in Sustainment for that health steal. Everything else will be absolutely fine. I do have 2 points in my class board for Conflux here, but you don't need that. Oh, and one other thing as well about the orange tree or the red tree is Allure. Allure actually works really well with this skill, because it will keep proccing every time the orb moves from enemy to enemy, and it's actually really good for pulling those enemies in, especially as they're closer to this, they're going to take more damage. Then over to the green tree, we're going to put 5 points in Root to Rise for a little bit of max health. We've got 2 points from our class mod here for Clarity. Again, you don't need that. and arms deal 5 points and 1 more point into find the center for increased melee damage. Again, I've got the corrosive element selected here, but you can select whatever element is preferable to you. The cryo one does work very, very well, but feel free to change them around where possible. So moving on to the gear, you'll see here, I literally just have a couple of face punches. A 300 over 90 obviously works very well on bosses as well, especially when coupled with the white elephant, and a consecutive hits one if I wanted to mix things up. Now at the moment I'm rocking a plus ultra shield, which gives us a little bit of cooldown rate and absorb shield, which helps with survivability, but I am going to experiment with using a frozen heart to give us that additional cryo freeze rate that we will get when we're surrounded by enemies. Just bearing in mind that this action skill actually lasts a decent amount of time, so you won't be proccing that all the time if you're using an action skill start anoint. Using whatever grenade you want with this build, really, the ASC is all that you're really after, and on grenade thrown will also work pretty well with this build. Then we're going to use a phase zerker. So this is the best phase zerker that I have. It does have melee damage on it. I do prefer a phase zerker over a muse, but feel free to use a muse if you want to get more melee damage, but bearing in mind we have a ton of melee damage already in the build, so take that into consideration. Then I'm just using a radiation stone white elephant. As you can see here, nothing special about it, no melee damage on it at the time. Feel free to swap this out, but I would recommend using a white elephant for that damage. So in terms of the gameplay look, it's really simple. You're going to be deploying your action skill and firing at an enemy. If the enemy that you have fired at and has died, start shooting another enemy and your orb will project over and automatically move. You can also press your left bumper or action skill button again if you're on mouse and keyboard and pull that orb to you if you're in trouble, and that orb will come to you and deal dot damage to anybody who's around you. Overall, guys, this is an incredibly strong build and an incredibly strong action skill, although it can be a bit fiddly with the environment, so just bear that in mind. So that is it for today's video, guys. If you have enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel or join us over on Twitch. We stream 5 times a week. Otherwise, I'll catch you on the flip.